Good evening, everyone. Welcome to League of Leaders in our segment of Hot Topic Tuesday. I'm Zach Sooty, joined with me today, Al Fragnoli. Al, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Zach?
Good, good. Exciting evening last night. College football national championship. Excuse me. What are your thoughts on how the season has ended? And let's get right to it. Let's talk about the way too early Final Four playoff teams for next season.
All right. I love it, Zach. College football, something I absolutely love. So this season, obviously, very challenging, like every sport has been with COVID and the struggles that these teams and schools have had. A lot of games postponed, a lot canceled. Incredible game though last night. I'm glad they were able to make this season happen, and that we had a college football playoff and a national championship game. So that was awesome. Kudos to the kids and the student athletes that were able to make this happen, the coaches and administration as well. But fantastic game. Alabama dominated. I mean, that was a game that it was tight for a while, the first quarter, second quarter, and then all of a sudden with about 3.5 minutes to go until halftime, it's 21-17. Alabama scores a quick touchdown. They get a 3-and-out, and then they score another quick touchdown. So they get two touchdowns in the last 3 minutes there. And then they started the third quarter with the ball and went on a 7-8 minute drive and scored a touchdown. And by that time, the game is pretty much essentially wrapped up. It's over. I thought Ohio State had a great season, so you got to give those guys a lot of credit. They've had challenges with COVID. They've had some guys missing and out of action last night. Justin Fields, great season he had. He's going to be a top draft pick, like everybody knows, in this upcoming NFL draft. But I think Ohio State was withholding a little bit of information on his injury from the Clemson game. I think we'll find out soon here that his injury was probably a little bit more severe than we thought with his ribs and the abdominal region there. He just didn't look like he felt comfortable throwing. He didn't want to take any unnecessary hits when he scrambled. So it was unfortunate to see him not play his best game in a championship game right there. But, even if he was at 100%, Zach, I don't think Ohio State would have won. I mean, the athletes on that Alabama team, this is an incredible team that Nick Saban had put together there. And kudos to him. This is his sixth championship, I believe, in 12 seasons at Alabama, his seventh championship overall with the one he won at LSU. But he did an incredible job with these guys. That team had some amazing chemistry. They were the best team in college football from start to finish. I honestly believe this team could compete with the New York Jets or the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. They're that good. They got some great skill players with Najee Harris at running back, Mac Jones, obviously a Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver there. Devontae Smith had an incredible game. Zach, he broke records. He had the most touchdowns and the most receiving yards in a national championship game, and he got injured on the first play in the third quarter. So he didn't even play an entire half of football. He probably would have had over 350 receiving yards if he played in the second half. So, Alabama is an incredible team. And the way they were able to stay focused all year round, fantastic. And I'll leave it with this one final note too. I think with sports this past season, I think we've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a shortened season, or they only played X amount of games. Is there going to be an asterisk on it? Is it the championship really the same?" I think it means even more to see what these players had to endure mentally to make it through a full season, not having any social life, being in their own bubble, and for 18 to 23-year-olds to withstand that for 6 months or so is incredible. And it speaks to the volume of what they were able to do and accomplish. And I think this Alabama team is one of the best teams in college football history, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I stand. And in regards to your last question, real quick, with the final four teams for next year college football playoff, I like Clemson to be back in it. Alabama, I'm going to say Oklahoma. They look strong in the second half of this year. And I'm going to put Texas A&M there. I'm leaving Ohio State out. I think that they're going to have some challenges next year. They might actually lose a regular season game or two in the mix there, and they might be left out of the college football playoff. They'll be a top 10 team, no doubt, but I'm going to try and change it up a little bit and throw Texas A&M in there. I think UNC is going to be a good team. Georgia and Iowa State, I think, will be top 10 teams as well. But as far as the Final Four, I'm going to throw Texas A&M in there, getting that last spot, not Ohio State. Zach, you want to touch a little bit on what your thoughts are on the championship?
So I just want to bring up the point that you've already made that I don't believe the season should have an asterisk. If it does, it should be a positive, because as you said, it was very difficult for these college athletes to endure a season like this. I think it's an extreme accomplishment and a huge feat for anyone to complete a season, let alone win a national championship. So I think it's fantastic that we did get to see a national championship, because at the start of the season we were questioning even if it was going to happen. So I think it is a bigger feat than maybe a regular season. As for the game itself, Alabama is obviously a fantastic team, and I don't think anyone really didn't think that they wouldn't win the national championship. They've just been solid all season. I like to see national championship games a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive. But um, sometimes in college football that's what you get, and sometimes in professional football that's what you get. So um, good game overall. As for the way too early Final Four playoff teams, I'm not a fan of making those predictions a year in advance. But we'll say Pitt, Penn State, Robert Morris, and also known as Bobby Moe University, and Seton Hall.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Zach. We know that not all Pennsylvania schools are going to be making it into next year's playoff, but
Oh, I
um,
thought we were talking top four Pennsylvania teams.
nope,
Sorry.
nope, definitely not that. But thank you for going that direction. That might be a topic for next week. Maybe we'll touch on. But we'll let you talk
All right.
about Pennsylvania sports right now when we talk about your thoughts from this past weekend's NFL playoffs. So obviously, the first year that they expanded the postseason, which was really exciting. So we had 3 games Saturday, 3 Sunday, rather than your normal 2 on each day. So that was fantastic. A full day of football, back-to-back days, can't beat it. Some really, really good matchups. What did you like about this past weekend's NFL playoffs? Um, who do you think is going to win in the divisional round this week? Who do you like moving on and advancing to the conference championship games? And then finally, I know you want to touch on them. Just talk a little bit about the Steelers. Obviously, that was probably, unfortunately for you and who you're pulling for, that was probably the biggest upset surprise this past weekend with Cleveland, knocking them off in a very high-scoring affair there. And do you think this was potentially Ben Roethlisberger's last game as a Steeler, maybe last game altogether in the NFL?
So a lot to unpack right there. First of all, loved this past weekend of NFL football. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. As one ended, another one started. I loved it. So it was a great weekend. Um, Great games. I thought it was some of the best football we've seen all season. As for divisional rounds, I was calling for a Tampa Bay Steelers Super Bowl, what I wanted in my heart. Obviously, not going to happen now. Uh, Truthfully, really saw Green Bay and Buffalo maybe heading to the Super Bowl, but that Rams defense looks solid. They've put together some great wins throughout the season against some good teams. I believe they even beat Buffalo in the regular season in a high scoring affair, actually. I think it was 35-32, something like that. So, as for this round, it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to stick with my original, you know, before, other than what was in my heart, what I really think is I'm going to stick with Buffalo and Green Bay, and we'll see what happens in these divisional rounds to see if that holds true. As for the Steelers, huge surprise for me, to not so much that they lost, but more of how they lost. Um, First snap of the game, over Ben's head into the end zone, recovered for a touchdown from your all-pro center, Marquise Pouncey. I mean, it was just a horrible start to the game, and it didn't get much better after that. I mean, it was a 28-0 game before you could even blink an eye, it seemed. So very, very surprising on how that game started. They seemed to fight back a little bit. Thought they could make it a game, and I think everybody watching there was kind of like a little bit of, hey, they might be able to come back and pull this off. But unfortunately, as a Steeler fan, unfortunately, that did not happen. As for, do I think it's Big Ben's last game, and what potential changes could the Steelers have? They've got a lot pending, I guess. Big Ben has 1 year left on his contract. Um, I I don't think he's done. I think he does come back, and I don't think the Steelers organization is going to tell him he's done. Um, they possibly should, but I don't think they're going to. And I think if Ben wants to play, he's going to play. Um, and I really think he's going to sit on this for a while and probably make a dramatic decision very late that he's going to return. Um, I think he's going to play his final season. As for changes with the coaching staff or anything like that, there have been rumors that Kevin Colbert, not sure how he pronounces it. I think it's Colbert. Um, Kevin Colbert is being looked at for the Detroit Lions position, general manager position. Rumors, of course, but could this be an opportunity for him to look elsewhere? From what I understand, his family life has changed a little bit. His children are older, so there is an opportunity for him to move because he doesn't have that connection to need to be in Pittsburgh. So that could present an opportunity. And also with all of the pending contracts, free agents coming up in the next 2 years, there's a lot of Steelers that are going to be coming free agents. Do you look to start over with a new quarterback? Is Mason Rudolph the next quarterback? There's a lot of question marks for the 21-22 season and beyond. So that's my opinion on the Steelers. What are your thoughts on the playoff weekend? I know you watched the game as well. You there were some turning points for you during that game. So, what do you think, Al?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of exciting games this weekend. To your point too, I absolutely love what the NFL did. Wish they would have done it 20 years ago, but fantastic. So this was great stuff to see. 3 games Saturday, 3 Sunday. A lot of good football. You got to give credit to let's talk real quick about Washington and Tampa Bay. What a game that was. I don't think anybody thought Tampa or Washington would even have a chance, but Taylor Heinicke there comes out of nowhere and ends up having a great performance there. So good games all around. Rams and Seahawks, another fantastic game with an upset there with the Rams. I think Seattle's going to be making quite a few changes this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see what they do, but I think they're going to have to start making some big heavy moves in that roster as well. And then, we'll talk about the Steelers and the Browns. That was out of the 6 games, that was the only one that I got wrong all week for my predictions. I really thought the Steelers would win this game. I didn't think the Browns were going to really put up 45 or 48 points, however much it was in that shootout. Even when it was 28-0 in the first quarter, I said, okay, they've played about the worst football that the Steelers could potentially play. They're not going to give up. They're going to have a lot of fight, a lot of character in that organization, and I thought they would make it competitive, which they did. I think the turning point in that game, Zach, was really, and I think Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach, but when he decided at the start of the fourth quarter, end of the third quarter, he had some time to think about it and make a decision. They had scored 13 points, 2 touchdowns in that third quarter, 13 zip. They had trimmed that lead down to 12 points, gotten back into it, and they're right around midfield, and a 4th-and-1 decision coming out to start that fourth quarter, decided to punt it. And I would have personally went for it there. If you pick up that yard, you probably go down, in my opinion, and score a touchdown, drop it to 5 points. And now all of a sudden Cleveland, with, probably 12 minutes or so left in the game, is now probably naturally in a little bit of a panic mode, saying we cannot lose a 28-point lead in the postseason here. So I would have personally went for it. I think that was a turning point in the game. Ben Roethlisberger, I did not think that he was going to retire at season end until I saw one clip when the camera went on him on the bench there and he had tears in his eyes. And I think to me, that indicates that there is some thought going through his mind that he's going to potentially step away. And I've said this for a long time. When Big Ben decides to step away, Philip Rivers might retire after this year. When Tom Brady leaves, when Drew Brees leaves, and it's only a matter of 2-3 years here before all four of those guys are gone. There goes my childhood memories of guys that I watched in college football. So, man, am I going to feel old in a couple of years? Already do, but it's going to be worse in about 3 years here when they're all gone. But I do think this is Big Ben's last season. I hope it's not. Don't want to see him go out that way. I would love to see him play one more year as a Steeler, wrap up his entire career as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and go out with some success next season. But it'll be interesting to see. In regards to this weekend's upcoming games, I think it's going to be a fantastic lineup of games. You got the Bills and the Ravens. I think that's going to be one heck of a game. I thought these two teams would meet in the AFC Championship game because I thought ultimately the Browns, like I said, I did not think that they were going to win. So I thought it would have been the Bills beating the Steelers and the Ravens knocking off the Chiefs. But this one I think is honestly a coin flip, Zach. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I want to pick the Ravens, but I'm going to be pulling for the Buffalo Bills. I'll tell you that. I want to see that city have some success. Baltimore's had success in the past. I want to really see Buffalo keep moving along here. So I'm going to stick with Buffalo. They were my original team to come out of the AFC. I'll stick with it. They didn't look amazing against the Colts, but I think they're going to play well. And I'll take the Bills there. Bucks and Saints, I think it's going to be a fantastic game. The Saints have beat the Bucks twice in the regular season, but for some reason, I have a feeling that Tom Brady's going to get over the hump here, move on. Green Bay and the Rams, I think, is going to be a good game. I think that opened up as a 7-point favorite for Green Bay, but I think that's going to be closer than what people think. That Rams defense, that front four is incredible. And I think if as long as Aaron Donald is healthy, which he got banged up against Seattle, if he's healthy, I think this is going to be an incredible game. It's going to be closer than what the experts think. KC and Cleveland, Zach, this is my upset. I think Cleveland is going to move on. I really do. I am adamant. Again, I thought it was going to be Baltimore playing them this weekend, and I was taking Baltimore all the way. And I think Baltimore would have had a better chance than Cleveland, but I'm going to stick with Cleveland. I think they can put up points. I don't think they're going to put up 45 again, but I think they're going to get in the upper 20s, low 30s for points. And if they do, they got a chance. And if they get up early, which I believe they are going to get up early, and the reason being is because I think Kansas City has made a massive, massive mistake by not playing their starters in week 17, the last regular season game. I know everything was locked up, but you already have a bye the following week. So essentially, these guys haven't played football in 3 weeks. They're going to be rusty, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think Andy Reid's going to be kicking himself for making this decision to not play those starters. I'm pretty passionate about that. I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to go with Cleveland. So I'm taking Cleveland, Green Bay, Tampa, and Buffalo. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an exciting weekend of football coming up again.
So I agree with the majority of those picks, with the exception of the Browns moving on.
Most people don't. So again, that's my sleeper pick right there. Kansas City opened as 10-point favorites. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Baker Mayfield and that offensive firepower there is going to have a great game, and I cannot wait to watch it. I'm pulling for the upset. I love Patrick Mahomes and what he's doing over there, but let's get somebody new moving on, and let's see what happens.
So moving on to the NHL. Starts tomorrow, right? I mean,
yes, sir.
We're playing hockey tomorrow. It's crazy. Gary Bettman said the league is set to lose over $1 billion this season with no fans. What are your thoughts on this season? You hyped up. Should the NHL have fans? And do you have a pick for the Stanley Cup yet?
Well, Stanley Cup, no idea. I'm not sure. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to repeat. I'll tell you that. So I'd have to look deeper into that and kind of see. Who I'd love to see, obviously, is the Detroit Red Wings win the Stanley Cup. But in regards to the odds makers and what they have to say, the Detroit Red Wings and the Anaheim Ducks are tied with the worst odds to win the Stanley Cup. Never thought I'd see that in my lifetime after the success Detroit's had for the last 20 years or so. But anyway. Hopefully they rebound soon here and get back into the mix of competing for a championship. with Stevie Y there running the show. Excitement level, pretty high, I'm not going to lie. No fans, it does make it challenging. It's disappointing, I would say, especially when it gets to postseason hockey. This past season, seeing no fans in the postseason. Postseason hockey with fans is something special. It's special for every sport, but hockey, there's something about the energy level in an arena for postseason hockey. And who knows, we might have some fans later on this summer. It doesn't sound too promising, though. There's only 3 teams that are beginning the season with some sort of fans. And, I can't remember all 3. I think it's Florida and the Coyotes, and I'm losing my thoughts on that 3rd team. But I know there's 3 teams that are starting the NHL season with a few fans. So not many. Gary Bettman did come out and say that it would make more sense for them to not have an NHL season in regards to revenue and money and the losses that are projected to be over $1 billion, which is catastrophic in my opinion. But I do think he's doing the right thing, and he said that it's important with a new franchise coming in Seattle, a new TV contract coming about, the players, the fans. It's important for those people to make sure that we are doing everything possible to have hockey season. So I think he's doing the right thing to have the season. I'm excited for it. I'm curious to see what happens. The first game on the docket for tomorrow is the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers, and that's on NBC Sports Network. So I'm looking forward to being able to catch that game tomorrow. But I mean, that's a fantastic rivalry in hockey. You would know that obviously as well. When those 2 teams meet in the postseason, it's a physical, intense series. I love it. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that game as well. But Zach, your thoughts on the NHL season in general? Do you have a Stanley Cup team that you think has a good chance to make it and win it all this year? And what's your excitement level?
It's difficult for me to have a pick for the Stanley Cup championship. I agree Tampa Bay is not going to repeat. I'm a homer. I love the Pittsburgh Penguins. Would love to see Crosby and Malkin get another one, get a Stanley Cup, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's just as for my excitement level, excited. It's great to start off the season with a great rivalry like Philly and Pittsburgh. But to your point, no fans. It just has a different feel. I think even the players get riled up in these games with fans. It makes it more competitive. It makes it more. I don't know. There's just an energy that in hockey arenas. It's such a close knit. You're in this little arena with a 15 to 30,000 depending on where you're at, and it's just an intimate setting. I think more than any other sport. So I think it's not as exciting when you don't have fans, and I get Gary Bettman's decision to continue to play. You can't scrap the season. I think it would be damaging for years down the road for what it would do to the NHL and the fan base. So, I think you play without fans, and hopefully by summer, we're in a little bit of a better position to have fans. So we'll see. But no thoughts for the Stanley Cup. Excited for the hockey season. Looking forward to the rivalry game tomorrow to start. But I'm hoping that we get to see fans come the end of the season.
Yeah, I hope so too, Zach. And I think you nailed it too. The players feed off of that energy level from the fans, and that goes for all sports. And not having fans, I think it's very hard and difficult for these athletes. And think about it from a mental health, and we talked about that quite a bit on our podcast here. But think about it from a mental standpoint. It's difficult to get up and ready to rock and roll and want to be competitive and compete at an all-time high level. And that's what's amazing about sports. And that's what I love about sports is it brings people together to cheer on one common goal. And that's for your team to win. And I love it. So hopefully we do have fans, to your point. Hopefully we're in a much better spot come summertime. And maybe for the playoffs, we can get fans in for these games. So anyway, that wraps it up for this evening's Hot Topic Tuesday. A lot that we covered today. We hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in and watching us and listening to our Hot Topic Tuesday here. We hope you join us this upcoming Sunday as we talk to Katie Christensen, academic advisor for student athletes in the University of South Carolina football program over there. So we look forward to seeing everybody then, and we look forward to having everybody on and joining us for next Tuesday's Hot Topic Tuesday. Thanks.